I would say I'm trying to see in a founder this drive to succeed, uh, like stopping at nothing, and having this, no, whether you're gonna give me money or not, I don't care. I'm gonna do this anyways. That kind of drive. Uh, that's one. The second thing that we look at the founder is we do look at the background. Like, okay, why is this person going to be the one? Like, we're looking for something exceptional in that person, and it doesn't have to be in that specific thing that he's building, but like something that's really stands him apart from anybody else. So that's the other thing that we're looking at. But I think one of the main things is like real, maybe anger is not the right word, but like angry at the problem that they're trying to solve that hasn't been solved, and stopping at nothing to solve it.
Eugene Malobrodsky is a partner at Runway Ventures, a seed stage firm that backs immigrant founders building companies in applied AI, deep tech, fintech, healthcare, and enterprise software. In this conversation, we talk about what founders misunderstand about venture capital, how investors actually evaluate early stage teams, why technical founders often struggle with storytelling, and the emotional reality of building companies when money, visas, and survival are all uncertain at the same time. We also got into practical frameworks for fundraising, customer discovery, hiring, networking, and the one quality Eugene says the best founders consistently share. They're all angry at the problem. I'm Walter Thompson. This is Fund, Build, Scale. Fund, Build, Scale is for anyone who's interested in learning the basic skills required to launch a startup, secure initial funding, and transform their idea into a sustainable business. Get the newsletter on Beehive or LinkedIn, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, please leave a rating or review. Eugene, thanks very much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So before we get started, people meeting you for the very first time, who are you and how did you end up in the role you're in today at Runway?
Who am I? So I am an immigrant to the United States. I came here when I was 13 from a country that not a lot of people know about because it's a small country called Lithuania. I was born there. My parents are both engineers. So when we came to the United States, the place to come was Silicon Valley because my mom was computer science, dad is mechanical engineering. So that was the place to be even in the 90s. So I came here, and I was always an entrepreneurial spirit as well, and kind of started my career in technology at age 15, and kind of to some extent was nonstop in technology and dipping my toes in Silicon Valley, and it was an exciting time. But I understood after working for multiple startups, I just understood that I'm just not great at following directions and working for somebody else, and started my company, first company, early on when I was still in college. Actually, the second company was also in college, called AnchorFree, and we created the first and largest consumer VPN company called HotSpot Shield. So that was exciting time as well. That took me for 15 years journey.
Looking back, was there a moment you can actually identify when you realized that working for somebody else was not the way for you? You needed to be your own boss?
Uh, I think as a child is conformity and being told that this is the way things should be done. Uh, I never understood that. Why can I do it the way I want to do it? So I guess that kind of drove me to like I want to uh, make my own path.
When we first met, you described yourself as an entrepreneurial venture capitalist. When you describe yourself that way, how does that set you apart from other people in
Yeah,
Silicon Valley?
so I think that a lot of people that get into VC, not all, but a lot of them are coming out of college and straight into some kind of venture capital, private equity, one of those financial institutions, and then getting into the venture. And in my case, I was operating and was in the shoes of the founders that we invest in at Runway. And having that experience of actually building something from scratch, failing, pivoting, and all these almost running out of money, all of that is a teaching lesson that I kind of want to share with some of the founders that we invest in and I advise on how to not maybe repeat some of the mistakes that we have encountered building the company.
And so you joined One Way 5 years ago as a venture partner. You're now a
Yep.
managing partner. I
Yep.
came across a Medium post you wrote in 2020 after you came aboard. So looking back 5 years on, like what's the same, what's different? What have you let go of, I suppose, that you thought was correct 5 years ago?
Yeah. So I think one of the main things that have changed is when you just start for everything sounds exciting. You're like, oh, this is cool, and this is cool, and this is cool, and so you're kind of it's like a kid in the candy store almost, right? Nowadays, I'm definitely a lot more, I guess, reserved in that sense, and I can have better feelings on things. But one of the traits that is hard to let go, and I still do it, but a lot less, is when I meet the founders, the easy thing to do, especially when you were a founder in their shoes, you start telling them what they should do instead of kind of asking them the questions or leading them in a way is like, so they would answer themselves kind of what is the right thing. So, and that's a hard thing to let go, is that operating is like, okay, getting your hands dirty.
I read the post this morning, and you spent a lot of time like kind of demystifying how venture funds work, like
Yep.
capital calls, timelines, and incentives.
Yep.
I guess I would ask, like, so looking back, 5 years on, what's the single most important thing founders still misunderstand about how VC funds fully operate?
I think one of the things that the founders don't realize is when we're looking at investment, is we're looking for companies that can actually have the potential, not necessarily will, but have a potential of bringing us like 100x return on the money that we invest. And it's because our obligation, so let's hypothetically, we invest in 20 companies. We have to play the odds of how many of those companies will survive and how many of those are going to bring returns to our LPs. And there are going to be some companies that return 1x, some obviously the ones that return 0. There's going to be some that return 3, 5, whatever on the money that we have invested. But like the big returns are from the superstars, right? Mm-hmm. And so one is playing the odds of who the superstars are. And second of all, our obligation is kind of to both sides. One is to our investors who give us the money and trust us that we're going to make the right decisions. And our other obligation is to the founders that we invest in to help them try to make it happen from the standpoint of like, okay, I need help with this. Can you make an introduction? Can you introduce us to future investors? Can you help us with our pitch and the story? So that's supporting our founders versus kind of having obligations to our investors.
I'm curious.
So playing
sure.
the kind of the both things.
So when you meet like in a discovery call or discovery meeting, you're talking to a founder the very first time, what proportion of them actually walk in thinking that they have a 100x outlier versus, oh, I think I could scale this to, something big and maybe 20, $30 million a year? Like, do they really come in walking with that sense of scale that you need to kind of justify the investment, or do they get there with your help?
So that's a very good question. And I would say that some founders, they come in and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna build, uh 20-30 million dollar a year business. Like some people don't really understand like how big they need to be in order for the VC to invest in. But I would say like about 70-80% of the people, they like think that they're gonna be that company.
Yeah. So when you started out, you were kind of learning venture as a capital allocator. And now that you're on the other side of that desk, you're backing founders directly. What didn't you understand about the emotional, I guess, or maybe the power dynamics of taking someone else's money? Do you understand that better, I guess, now that you're on the other side of the table? What it's like to ask a stranger for money, or is it still kind of just like a very transactional kind of a thing for you?
So no, like I'm I like building relationships. I don't like the transactional aspect of it. So it is definitely, I mean, running a venture fund is what a lot of people don't understand, is also like running a startup. The difference is we know exactly how much we're getting per year in management fees, that we basically operate the whole fund, pay people and things like that. And then we have to budget it out to make sure that we don't run out of money, just like the startup. It's just the startup can hypothetically uh, make more money, so they have larger budget or raise more money. And so for us, it's a cyclical thing. So, but it's the same thing. We still have to go out, raise money. We have to make sure that our customers who are LPs and our customers who are founders are happy. So to some extent, it's the same thing. We also have our own project. One of the projects that we have started last year is our conference called Runway Summit, that is spotlights immigrant entrepreneurship in the United States, kind of showing founders that this is still the place to be and place to build their next company or continue building the company here. So it's a whole project that we also undertake, which is almost like running a events company almost.
I think it was recently the conference.
Yeah, it was in late December, and it was the first one that we've done, and it was exciting. We had amazing speakers like the founders of Lyft, founders of Slack, founders of Branch.io, Saywise, and many other people. We also had VCs that are immigrants themselves, but also are in funds like Andreessen and Khosla and DCVC and others.
Looking back at your experience at AnchorFree, you helped pioneer the consumer VPN category and you scaled globally. What were some of the decisions or behaviors that kind of mattered most at that early stage when you were creating the category?
Yeah, I would say create products that people love, that people have affinity to. That's one. But from the tactical things is, I would say, really take the time to hire the right people. Don't think about how much it's going to cost, but think about who those people are. Because I think sometimes the founders, they're like, oh, we only have this budget, we can only afford these kinds of people. That's not true. First of all, none of the founders can match what Meta or Google or Microsoft or any of those companies can pay. That's just not going to happen. But if you can inspire people and share your vision and make them believe in your vision, you can have these people give up those $500 million salaries to come and do it with you. And so focus on the right people and don't say that, oh, I can't get A people, so I'm going to go for the B people. No, take the A people. Like, if you can convince this person, go to the next person, until you get, because that's important. The other, I think, component is obviously really focus on your customer and really listen to what your customer says. So one of the lessons that we've learned from one of our investors at AnchorFree, who was a huge mentor to us, was Burt Roberts, who was a former CEO and chairman of MCI. So one of the things that he's done, he told us that we should do as well, is he would have all of his executives, including himself, participate in customer support calls at MCI. So you basically call MCI that you're having a problem. It might be the CEO of MCI who's answering the call. Mm-hmm. Because he believed is you need to not be getting a report of these are the problems, but actually hearing it directly from the customer and hearing from the customer what they're experiencing. Then you can make changes within the organization to make things better. You have to feel the pain, not a remote pain.
Yeah, yeah. I think some companies, they call it dog fooding, like eating your own dog food kind of a thing.
Exactly. It's like basically using your own product, same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing I would say that was a learning from AnchorFree is never run out of money, but in a different sense. So we were fundraising in 2008. If some of the listeners remember,
it was a very good year.
Yeah, it was a tough one, and we had a lot of no's, so we had to raise a round from our existing investors that on not such a great terms.
A down round.
Well, back then it was a B round because back in those days we didn't have pre-seed seed. It was A, B, C. Prior to that did not exist. It was a family round, and then after that it's A, B, C. But basically the B round, and our investors said, "Look, when you're investing $1, you need to make at least $1.01 back." So we had all of our investors were very traditional. We didn't have any VC money from Series A and B. Well, technically Series C was done by Goldman Sachs, so not a traditional VC as well. Mm. So basically that stuck to us, that basically being profitable was the key. Because in the 2000s, right, it was all about grow no matter what, grow the users no matter what, no matter the cost, no matter anything. It's all about
IPOs were still a thing back then also. So
yes. And our investors were like, no, this is not the way to do it. You need to do it in a way where you grow, but you're also profitable. So back then, 2009, we became profitable. And 2011, we burned through our NOLs and we're profitable. And that's in 2013. That's when Goldman came in and made an investment into our company. So that was a lot of painful moments. The other, I think, big learning, and it's still hard to do, it was like hard always, is letting people go. And I think in your head is like, oh, but I'm gonna have to go through the process and of hiring, and this person is okay, like he does some of the things maybe not as well, but then so ripping that band-aid, it's always, you actually feel much better afterwards, like, oh, that was the right decision, why didn't I do it earlier?
I was going to ask you whether AnchorFree was your first time hiring and firing people as far as like a boss.
So no, it was a second. My first company we had to fire, but it was a 5-person company, but mass layoff kind of thing where I had to do in one day like 30 people. That was at AnchorFree, and I think that was kind of one of the most painful moments, I would say, at least for me, because I really value the people that worked for me. I considered all of our employees as part of the family, because realistically, you spend a lot more time with them than you spend with your own family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's painful, especially when they don't deserve it. Like they're right, the performance versus layoffs, when you're like, okay, we just can't afford it.
Right, just macro events pushing you out the door. Yeah.
So that was super painful. That was, but I would say it almost builds stamina in you. First of all, you then try as like, okay, this is definitely not something I want to live through again.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You do everything not to survive.
Yeah.
But it also gets easier after that.
Do you have a sense? I know there's no magic number, but what's your sense as far as what's a decent amount of, runway? So you're not scrambling, but you're also not constantly fundraising. Like, is there a sweet spot someplace?
Yeah. So there's two things. One is, when do you go out to raise, and how much you should raise. And there's a balancing act there, because I think you need to go out and raise when you have about 6 months of runway. You need to start that at least. If you can do 8 months, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
How much you raise is important, because you can raise too much and you're diluting yourself, and or you raise too little. So you need to kind of have a vision of how much you can grow in a period of time, so you could have enough revenue to get to the next round. And let's, for example, say that you need, for a Series A, you want to be at $2.5 million ARR, and let's say you're at 1 million today. That would, and you say, okay, it's going to take me 7 months to get to that number. Okay, great. Realistically, what if something goes wrong and you don't reach that number? So you need a buffer. So let's say it's, instead of 7 months for you to get the number, it's actually going to get to 12. So basically, you need to at least raise and then you need a 6 month buffer. So you need enough capital for 18 months. So how much is it going to cost you? You need to kind of create a plan, and that's how much you should raise. A little bit more is great, more cushion, but don't go like crazy, because every time you raise, you dilute yourself, but also the value, right? If you can get to that higher number, your valuation is also going to be higher. So the cost of the capital decreases, and the cost of capital decreases because the risks decrease.
Do you ever have conversations with founders where you just tell them, hey, maybe you should try bootstrapping this instead?
Yeah. Especially if those businesses are not venture backable.
Other than TAM, like what's your, because there's got to be a floor, I imagine, but what's your framework for bootstrap lifestyle business versus venture backable? I'm in. Is there a simple kind of litmus test, or is it really just about the numbers and the team and the product?
I think it's about the team, the vision, like is the person trying to be the category leader, and does he have kind of the stamina in him to build a big company? But also, some of the businesses, like, we just don't see them becoming huge businesses. They're going to be maybe capped at 10 million ARR, 15 million ARR, and it's a great business. It's profitable and it's a great business, but it's not a venture backable business.
And what percentage of those meetings result in the kind of diverting them towards that track instead?
Realistically, that I would lead them into that track, very little, but the amount of companies that fall into that category is quite a bit. It's just, with some you can be a little bit more honest, with some You have to be, because you're kind of taking away their dream. So it just depends on the personality of the founder.
Interesting.
So, and also I
sorry.
feel like maybe I'm wrong, and it's totally fine for me being wrong. So when I give an advice, you should still make your own decision. You shouldn't really listen to you should listen to my advice, but not necessarily act on it.
Don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, exactly.
What percentage of the people you're actually talking to are people who came in and submitted themselves to you versus just kind of came in through your network?
I would say about 10 to 15% that just reach out to me. The rest is through the network.
A person that didn't come through like a warm intro, what do you have to see in that pitch to make you want to take the meeting?
First of all, it's not like 3-4 paragraph email. It's a very concise in what they're building and why they are the person who can build it. So kind of personal, and you can see that some like not all the time, but you can see nowadays that okay, this email was definitely written by AI. I'm looking for like people who basically, hey, I'm building such and such because I lived through this difficulty myself. Like I'm looking for founders who are solving some kind of really big pain point that they have experienced or trying to solve for the world to make the world more a better place, but like efficient or find a solution to something that's big that they've been driven crazy about. Like, couldn't believe that this hasn't been solved yet.
Mm-hmm. And I guess and so again, keeping in that meeting with that discovery call, this first time founder, they don't have a track record. This is their first attempt to build something.
Yeah.
What are some of the signals that kind of show you like that you use to filter this person could hire someone, this person could build a team, this person could go out and sell things to strangers versus like can you is that something you can read in the room or is that something you need to actually kind of
That's what we try. And my partner, Simeon Dukac, uh, who was MD of Techstars Boston, but he's very well known for MIT Blackjack team. He was a group leader of the MIT Blackjack team. So he plays the odds, right? And tries to figure out the odds in each founder as well. But I would say I'm trying to see in a founder this drive to succeed, like stopping at nothing and having this. No, whether you're gonna give me money or not, I don't care. I'm gonna do this anyways. That kind of drive. That's one. The second thing that we look at the founder is we do look at the background. Like, okay, why is this person going to be the one? Like, we're looking for something exceptional in that person, and it doesn't have to be in that specific thing that he's building, but like something that's really stands him apart from anybody else. So that's the other thing that we're looking at. But I think one of the main things is like real, maybe anger is not the right word, but like angry at the problem that they're trying to solve that hasn't been solved and stopping at nothing to solve it.
and how early are you getting in at this point? Or are people coming into you like pre-prototype, pre-customer, pre-revenue?
So sometimes prototype. I would say it's usually post prototype, pre-revenue a lot of times. Nowadays, well, it depends on the type of company, right? If it's a deep tech company, all of them are pre-revenue. But if it's a software company, we are kind of looking at, okay, do you have any pilots, or like what do custom, like trying to figure out where is the need, are the customers interested in this product, right?
Mhm.
So at least hints of the market fit.
Yeah.
If it's deep tech, it's a lot more complicated since it requires you building the product. So there's more research going into it and more diligence and things like that. But those are also have a lot more moat than the current environment, because deep tech is usually hardware, software, and things like that, or like deep science.
Mm-hmm.
Because today was the AI revolution, I would say, it's a lot easier to build companies. So the moat is harder to obtain. And today's environment is very interesting because the product creation innovation is less important than the business side of it. Now it's like, who can get to market faster, get traction faster, not the technological advancement necessarily.
Deep tech is pretty broad. So can you narrow it a little bit as far as where are you looking for opportunities in deep tech right now?
Sure. So we have done stuff in semiconductor industry lately. We have done robotics, so autonomous robotics. We have done companies in the drone space as well. So we have done autonomous driving. One of our portfolio companies, Helm AI, that's announced going into production for 2027 cars and Honda vehicles. Okay. That's a really deep tech company. So that's on that side of it. The other is, I would say, on the software side, that's also, it's about traction, but it's once you get in, it's hard to get out, is like in the healthcare industry. Mm-hmm. Once they pick your product, you're pretty much in it. It's the cost of switching is high. So we like products where the cost of switching is high. Or companies that are building a product, very product oriented, that are looking at solving some kind of problem and can get customers really quick and get traction quick.
Deep tech, you mentioned robotics, and I'm kind of curious, just maybe more for my own edification. Humanoid robotics, what's your take on that? Or is that something you're into, or are you looking more for just pure
we
just
haven't
form
invested
factor?
Yeah, we haven't invested in the humanoids. I think one is you need a lot more operating capital to do those. So for the size of our fund, it's difficult to support these kinds of. They need a lot of capital from the beginning.
I mean, and again, this could be just like for my own. This might not even make the podcast. But
my belief in humanoids, I don't understand why they need legs
or fingers.
Well, fingers because
yes, sure, I get that, but fingers, legs, yeah.
But legs it just complicates things so much. There's so many more actuators and things like that that can break. That there's balancing and all those things. Come on, just put freaking wheels.
Like a forklift does not have legs, and it just works.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then if you want to climb the stairs, I mean, there are other technologies that can let you do that as well, that don't require actual legs.
Okay, I'm glad to hear. I'm glad.
No, like I don't understand why the companies are really trying really hard to make them look like humans. Is it maybe because we're gonna like them more? They're gonna be like our buddies, our friends. I don't know.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. I'm not understanding it either, which is why I'm glad to ask like an expert. Because
I don't get it. I've been always like, why do they need legs? Like it costs a lot more to build those with legs. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to have one of those things walking around my house looking like a human.
Yeah, it's just too uncanny and not very efficient, I think. But yeah, it's
Absolutely.
I'm not even
Absolutely.
sure. I'm not even sure I want a face and two eyes and
Well,
something.
you do need the cameras, the lidars, and the things like that. So you might as well just do a head. But it doesn't have to be round like a human. It can be square, whatever.
Right. That's funny. Okay.
Minecraft looking.
I think we may have touched on this briefly, but some of the most common early red flags you see in those discovery meetings, especially among technically strong teams. Like, are there common threads, like the top three things that come up over and over again?
Yeah. So let's start with the first one that I think is important. I think, and I'm going to put it into the bubbles of, I think, California specifically, or Silicon Valley. Some of the founders become founders for the wrong reasons. And they become founders because they look at all these different founders and these events that they go to, and they're like, oh my god, founders have such a great life. They go to these, get invited to these events, they're like, and so they're like almost like pop stars but in tech world. Reality is, and so they're like, okay, I want to be like that. The reality is, not a lot of them realize that this is like 1 or 2% of their time. The rest is like total grind. And the chances of you making as much money as you're making at Google, Facebook, or whatever other company you're working in big tech, is the probability is a lot worse.
Hmm.
So the chances of you making it big is small. So the reasons for becoming a founder is you have to really believe that you're going to solve a big problem or a big challenge, and you're the one who's going to do it, not because it's cool to be a founder. So that's one. And I see a lot of those. They're like, yeah, it's just doing this because I think I want to be a founder because school, like my friends are founders, blah, blah, blah. I think the second red flag is really not understanding the market that they're going after, like not really doing enough research of who their competitors are and what the differentiation between you and the competitors. I think the third one would be probably a lot of the founders are hyper technical and they're thinking too much about how to solve the technical and not figuring out how to go and sell it, and not talking to the actual customer before they build the product. They build a product and they're like, okay, now I'm going to go and try to find the buyers. No, 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 no. You go do the research, you talk to the potential buyers, figure out the problems, then build it.
Have you had a meeting where you told someone go out and do more customer discovery, then
Of
come
course.
back to me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that often or?
I would say it's a decent amount. A decent amount. Especially if it's super early and it's a software product. Like, and it's most of the time it's in the first time founders.
I want to talk a bit about storytelling. And I think something you brought up, you coach founders to come up with a tight 90-second story. Um,
Correct.
so what are the elements? What must be in that story and what shouldn't be in most cases?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that we see, so immigrant founders, they tend to be very skillful in technologically, at least in that come to United States. A lot of them are STEM, uh, and I would say the biggest thing that we see in our immigrant founders, there's two things. One is lack of the network, and then the second is uh, it's a storytelling. And the storytelling piece is interesting because United States, it's all about big vision, big story, uh, fake it till you make it kind of idea to some extent, right? It's how do you basically trying to do is to say in the beginning what you're trying to solve, not today. What's like what's your like the shining star where you're going, and that would be kind of your opening. I'm building, I don't know, a rocket that's going to take me to Mars. It's not necessarily that your first rocket is going to take you to Mars. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not even going to reach the atmosphere. Okay, like right. But it's like, okay, my go-to is I want to build a rocket that will take me to Mars. And I think this is, and what most of the immigrant founders or first-time founders do is they talk about what they have now and what they're building now, not focusing on like the big vision as an opening. Because realistically, you have 90 seconds to convince somebody that this is the idea they should back. After that, you still have the conversation stuff like that, but they kind of already made up their mind if they want to move next. So the second piece after the moonshot is the team. Why you are the person and your team are the guys who are going to make it happen, or girls. Why is it you and not Bob? Those are the two big components, and then you kind of get into the, after those two largest components, you kind of get into the, okay, this is this is, the market is so big, and this is what we already know, and this is what we already built, but the end goal is still that moonshot. But those two components is the moonshot and why you're the team to make it happen. They're the two most important components of your first 90 seconds.
How do you shift yourself from that point of view of I'm a good technical founder to I'm going to go to Mars?
Like, well, obviously you need to believe in what you're doing. I mean, but a lot of people don't stop. They know where they want to reach, but they don't, like these founders, they know where they want to get to, but they're not focused on that in the beginning. They're focused too much on today. But today doesn't matter. You already did today. You're already there. So why do you need my money if you're already there, right? Tell me where you're going.
Got it.
That's one. The second is, look, realistically, would Elon be able to do what he's done with Tesla if he wouldn't kind of do fake it till you make it in the beginning? I don't think so, because he raised a shit ton of money to make it happen.
And made a lot of promises that he wasn't able to keep along the way.
True. But still the value of the company is huge, right? So he probably kept, I don't know, maybe 80% of his promises.
Yeah, which is I'm not the SEC, so that's good enough for me, I suppose. So let's talk for a bit. Right now, the immigration landscape for tech workers is, I would say, uncertain at best. H-1B visas, to me, they always seemed like a real risk for the worker. And it seems riskier now with these, this yearly possible kind of payment, this bounty, and I saw another thing actually just recently that really, and it's not really specifically tech, but I saw that O1 visas, now influencers and people with large social media followings are applying for O1 visas so they can come over here and be influencers in America. It seems as though things are, I guess I'll say things are changing quickly, but I don't think they're changing for the better. What's your take on the current immigration landscape for tech right now, and where's it headed?
So let's talk about H-1Bs for a quick minute, since this $100,000 bounty. I think the H-1B system, or the U.S. system with H-1Bs, was horrible to begin with, because if you kind of look at who H-1Bs were issued to, it is true that majority went to the outsourcing companies and the big tech, even in the past. And In some cases, I would say that it was abused by a lot of the, especially outsourcing companies, because they would bring you in, you would work for them, but then you would work for another company on their behalf, whatever, and they would pay you little and take a lot for your work. But the solution to the problem is horrible, in my opinion, because the big tech, for them, $100,000 for H-1B is still nothing. The startups that want to bring good talent can't afford it. And this country has been built on immigrant talent. Mm-hmm. All the tech that we have today, first of all, 65% of AI unicorns have been in Silicon Valley and the United States overall is started by immigrant founders. A lot of people that employees of these companies are immigrants. So they're not taking away jobs from the Americans. What they're doing is they're making the United States a place of innovation and progress. And one advice that I give actually to all of the founders that are newly coming to Silicon Valley, what makes the United States the country to be is the whole international aspect of different minds and mindsets and cultures coming together with different points of view. And the advice that I give to a lot of founders, it's very easy for you to come to the United States. Let's say you're from Ukraine or from India, you go into your own cultural, because it's easy. It's easy for me to be, if I'm a Ukrainian, just hang out with my Ukrainians, whether they're founders or not. It's easy. But easy, why are you here? It's expensive. It's like, what's the point of you being here? The point of you having broader network, broader visions, different points of view. And that's why this is the place, is because different cultures, different mindsets can build bigger things. Mm-hmm. And us, with our current political kind of direction, we're kind of stopping this aspect from happening, I think. And that's sad. And I'm hoping that this is it's just a short like a band-aid, I guess, right now, to just fix what was broken. I hope that's the case. I hope there's going to be a different type of visa for startups to bring talent for their companies. That would make a big difference for a lot of the startups. And one of the ideas was a startup visa. If you get financing from the U.S. venture fund, you basically get a visa, and there's like a minimum threshold of how much you need to raise, but and then you can immigrate. I think that we should definitely embrace. I think if we're going out and our competitor is China, especially on the AI front, we need to do everything in our power to convince that this is the place to build. Mm-hmm. If you want to build something big, it's here. And have the Chinese scientists say, oh, China is not giving us enough freedom, but the United States will, and I'm going to go to the United States to do it. So we need to do everything in our power to bring the best minds in the world that are in STEM to say that the United States is their home for innovation.
And for those founders you were talking about, the ones that, who come, immigrant founders in the U.S. who stay in their comfort zone, I'm sure you're must have real interactions with the people here. These aren't
Yeah.
hypothetical. These are real people. How do you help them, like push them constructively out of that comfort zone into a place of, where they're more comfortable taking risks, let's say, and a
Yeah.
little stepping outside what's familiar?
So one is really, I mean, a lot of people just don't even realize that they're doing this. So it's just changing the mindset to think, oh, you're right, I should do this. I mean, I can't make them do things. I can say, okay, this is, you're here because of XYZ, because you want to achieve something. The reason why you're here and specifically here is because of all these people that you can get access to. Go and do it. You can have your cultural from your same culture friends that you hang out on the weekend and stuff, but like go to the events where the best minds are and learn. Uh, but I can only direct. I can't make them do things. But a lot of times they're like they realize it and they're like go out of their way to try to integrate. And I do events as well sometimes, and I invite different people to interact together, become friends, whatever. But it's an effort, and it has to be outside of your comfort zone. This is one of those, I guess, challenges that you have to take on.
Yeah, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's essential part of the whole tech recipe, I feel like.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just wrapping up. Because like the whole point of the podcast, it's very, it's day zero to Series A. And so with that in mind, if there's a listener in Lithuania, in Davenport, Iowa, who knows? They could be any place. But someone has an idea. They don't have an elite network. They have limited access. They don't have a warm intro email waiting in their inbox for them. What's the first practical move you would tell them to take to make themselves ready to talk to someone like you?
Yeah. So first suggestion is figure out what you're passionate about, but and realize that if you're going into being a founder, realistically, it's a between 10 and 15-year journey if you're successful. Like look at any company that's uh, hyper successful and publicly traded. How long did it take them to get there? It's not a 1, 2, 3 year journey. You have to sign up for a long haul. So you have to be mentally ready for that. Second is, do you have friends that have started companies? If you do, they're the best people who can give you advice or introduce you to their investors. If you don't have any of that, is really write a personal, and if you're reaching out through LinkedIn or got an email somehow from somewhere else, write a personal email with what you're building and why. It's like a 90-second pitch, but in a even shorter, right? Pretty much in like one paragraph or less
Mhm.
of what you're building, why you're building it, and why you're the person doing it. Yeah, and that's I think the main things, and then seek out groups or events in your area that are focused on technology and innovation, and go there. Don't be afraid to come up to people that you don't know and just start talking to them about what you're doing and learning from them what they're doing. uh, Being shy does not help you. You, even if you're an introvert, you have to fight it and try to be an extrovert.
For founders who are listening who see themselves in the immigrant journey you described, what do you most want them to hear? What's the most important thing, if it was just one thing?
The one thing I would say, don't get discouraged by noise. Keep on doing what you believe in and keep fighting.
My last question. If you were talking to an H-1B worker here in Silicon Valley, What's one question that they should ask the CEO during a job interview before they take the offer?
Ooh, very good question. I would say, would you file a green card for me? I think like you need to understand how can you become the resident, uh, because H-1B with all the renewals, uh, it's just a journey that's very, very unpleasant. The other, I think, important thing is understanding how much runway those companies have, because on H-1B, you're pretty much tied to that company. Yeah. So that's, you need to understand how long can this company survive for a long time for you to get to that residency.
We'll stop it there. Eugene, this has been a fantastic conversation, super tactical, very personal. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure, and hopefully we'll meet soon.
The Fund, Build, Scale theme was written by Michael Tritter and performed by Michael and Carlos Chairez. Michael also composed Ocean, the track you heard at the top. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and leave a rating. It helps more people find the show. You can get the Fund, Build, Scale newsletter on Beehive, follow along on Instagram, and if you have a guest suggestion or a question, reach me at fundbuildscale@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Fund, Build, Scale is a production of Truth and Soul Media, LLC.